time now is 9:15 exactly. Council, could we have a motion to come back into open session?
So move.
Motion by Ortiz, second by Cantu. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, executive session 5A pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney to discuss an ongoing litigation. Council, do we have any recommendations or motion to put forth?
Yes,
What is that motion?
CNA to authorize city attorney to investigate SWS issues in contemplation of potential litigation.
Council, you heard the motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll make the second.
Motion by Cantu, second by Jimenez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, let's go on to new business and let's go through this quickly. Okay, as we have new council members, customary that we review the membership on each board. Council, item 3A, CNA to appoint members to the 4A board. Mr. Jimenez, do you have any recommendations?
No, not at the time.
Mrs. Cantu, do you have recommendations?
Yes, I want to nominate Roland Castro for
Roland
the
Castro.
4A to replace Paul Sack.
To replace Paul Stack? Okay, motion to appoint Roland Castro to the 4A board. Is there a second?
I'll make the second.
Motion by Cantu, second by Jimenez to appoint Castro, Roland Castro, in place of Paul Sack. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
We do by charter have to ask for citizen comment.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're correct. Any comments on 3A? Thank you for reminding me, Chris. Yes, sir.
Is time terminated, or?
You know what the terminations are, there are no term limits on the 4A, are there?
Right,
Reserve
it's appointment at will of the council.
At the will of the council. Okay, appoint members to the FEDC board. Councilman Jimenez,
I don't have anyone yet.
Ms. Cantu,
Not yet.
Mr. Ortiz.
None.
Okay, also no changes on my behalf. Item 3C, consideration action to appoint members to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. Jimenez,
I have no appointment yet.
Ms. Cantu,
Not yet.
Mr. Ortiz,
At a later date,
okay?
not right now.
And I'm sorry, any citizens comment on that? There are not going to be any changes? Let's move on to item 3D, consideration and action to eliminate the position of Community Development Director in accordance with section 4.06 of the city charter. Mr. Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Section 4.06 of the charter reads, the city council may abolish or consolidate such offices or departments as it may deem to be to the best interest of the city, and may divide the administration of any such departments as it may deem advisable, may create new departments, and may discontinue any offices or departments at its discretion, except those specific ally established by this charter. Mr. Mayor, I would like to say a word or two on this.
Please.
We're here tonight to review a city office and if it is helping or hurting the citizens of Floresville. Every position in the city, from the guys in the field to the directors of each department, are here to help the citizens and make their lives easier by solving problems. When it appears that an office is causing as many or more complaints about red tape and misinformation than problem solved, it is time to see if that office needs to go. So people can go straight to the city manager with their problems.
Any discussion, council?
So, Mayor, at this time, I move to table this for a later date.
I'll make the motion to table it. I'll second the motion.
Consideration and action to eliminate the position of Community Development Director. Ortiz made the motion to table. I believe Cantu made the motion to second.
I
You did? Okay. Jimenez, second, to table. All in favor, say aye.
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 4-0. Okay, let's move on to item 3E. Consideration and action to approve contractual agreement for grant writing services for the city of Floresville to apply to the Texas Parks and Wildlife for an outdoor park grant and the subsequent administration of grant if awarded. Mr. Vasquez?
Council, good evening, how are you doing? Of course, I'm stepping in here for Ms. Turner, and my understanding is what we're looking for is approval for contract with this company called Lanford Community Management Services. I understand that you got to meet them at the,
Yeah. Mr. Vasquez, can we turn the volume up? We can barely hear you.
oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
is this better?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. As you know, coming into this, trying to support Ms. Turner here while she's out. My understanding is we're looking to seek for a contractual agreement with this company, Lanford Community Management Services. My understanding is you all have met the company before.
Yes.
Actually, there's a representative here, the president, Judy Langford, if you have any questions from them. And that's also in your packet as an attachment, proposed agreement, and also the amount of the agreement for those services are listed in there for method of payment and scope of work, or services, I'm sorry.
Ms. Langford, you want to say anything?
Well, I will be brief. I know everybody's wanting to get home. I appreciate it. It was nice to speak to you the other evening at the 4A and FEDC and the council meeting. We would look forward to, if the council's, at the council's pleasure, preparing an application based on the master park plan that you have as a resolution tonight to consider approving to get submitted to Parks and Wildlife. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
And the deadline for this, Ms. Langford, is October?
October 1 is the application deadline, and as far as the master park plan, that has to be submitted to Parks and Wildlife prior to August 1, but it's trying to be submitted earlier than that, just in case, for review, so it can be approved earlier to make sure it's all okay for the October 1st deadline for the application.
Mr. Vasquez, do you know what the status is on that?
As far as
The master plan submission?
the master plan submission,
If I'm
Go ahead.
Mayor Pro Tem, it's on, the resolution's on your council agenda tonight, just
Okay.
at a later one to approve the master park plan.
Well, I think we approved it. FEDC also approved it.
Yes.
Okay.
You didn't approve it by resolution, and so
Okay.
it's as a resolution on your agenda tonight.
that's correct, I'm sorry, so that actually ties in with number E, which ties in with H, as stated by Ms. Judy Langford. And on all that, not to jump to that, but that actually needs to be submitted by June 1st, next week. So based on you all signing, if you all agree, that resolution, when you get to that line item, then we need to forward it to M&S, and there will, engineering, that will take care of that for us. And so we're gonna need that based on your signature and approval.
How many grants is this? Is this one or more than one?
It's one.
It's one.
And how big was the grant?
My understanding is you can.
That we're applying to?
500,000.
500,000.
Yeah, the max amount of the grant that's allowed is $1 million. It's a 50-50 match. So that's where it comes in, the $500,000 would be up to that. Doesn't mean you have to spend $500,000, you can be somewhere between 10,000 up to 500,000. That would be the commitment based on the application, those kind of things.
And the fee is contingent upon receiving the grant? your fee?
No, sir, for Parks and Wildlife, it's paid for writing the application.
Okay.
Now, the fee to administer would be contingent upon the award of the contract, award of the grant.
Okay, so it's $2,500 for the fee and then contingent upon the receipt?
Yes,
Okay,
for the administration.
for the administration.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Any other questions, council? I'd like that we have a motion to enter a contractual agreement.
I make the motion.
To approve the grant writing services?
Yes.
I'll second.
Should we include the name of the company? What name of the company is Langford Community Management
Services.
Services?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm sorry. Let me ask for citizens' input first, before we take a vote. Yes, sir.
Has the city put a bid out there for other grant writers?
Mr. Vasquez?
Not that I'm aware of. Ms. Turner was handling this more. We can look into that, or we can table this till later.
I'm just asking.
There's no requirement, legal requirement.
No.
These are professional services, I'm correct?
Yes, and she can speak to that in years of being in as a company and what she's done with others, if you'd like to ask those questions.
Well, I think, like Mr. Tom said over there, I think it's good that we get several grant writers to, in the future, so that way, it's just like bidding for everything else.
Yeah,
Okay.
but there are different grant writers from different, we have,
Yes, sir.
for the CBDG, there was a different grant writer, and so
That's
Grant
correct.
GrantWorks. GrantWorks.
Works. So there's a motion, if there's no
Well,
other,
I second the motion.
yes. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Ms. Fine.
Okay, so the next one is with me too, if you don't
Same
mind, I'll
thing.
just stay.
Okay,
Stay
good.
here.
Okay, for the Water Development Board?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Consideration and action to approve a contractual agreement with grant writing services for the city of Floresville to apply to the Texas Water Development Board for flood protection grant.
And for this, my understanding is this is for, we're looking for the 2 sirens for notification for like what we just recently had, for like a tornado, and also for any high wind storms or any other natural disaster or a disaster that we may have fires or something, and we need to notify the community. So that my understanding is for 2 sirens based on location to be determined and part of it based on the survey.
Yes, I think it's good. I'll make the motion. Oh, you can keep.
Go ahead.
Public comment.
Maybe sit it, we'll make the motion first.
I'll make the motion to approve the contract agreement for grant writing services for the city of Floresville to apply for the Texas Water Development Board for a flood protection grant.
Is there a second to that? Motion by Jimenez, second by
I'll second.
Cantu. Any citizens comment regarding this application? There being no citizens input, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Ms. Lancaster.
Thank you very much.
Now, we have that resolution, I think, right?
Yeah, and I have, actually you have one for each grant,
That'd
one
be
for the
the
Parks and
next-
Wildlife and one for the Water Development Board.
That's
How long
correct.
do those grants normally take, like for the siren and stuff?
The siren one is going to be pretty fast. It's due June 17th,
Okay.
and Water Development Board did not give us it was not open very long, but it is due June 17th, and they're looking at a fairly short turnaround on letting people know who's funded.
Well, thank you for, we had a lot of citizens input on that, that we're needing sirens pretty bad in Floresville. Nothing went off during the tornado, so
Oh,
a lot of people were unaware,
well, it's due very quickly, and then hopefully we'll have a response back from Water Development Board within, let me say it's fast for the state. So we do have to wait on a number of grants for months and months. This one's supposed to be fairly quick. but probably about 2.
Hopefully, we don't get another tornado between now and then.
Yes, sir, I hope not too.
Thank you, Council.
Item G, Mr. Vasquez, that's a resolution. Do we need to read the resolution, Mr. Chris?
Yes, read the caption, that's all we need to read, the bolded part.
Okay, resolution of the City of Floresville, Texas, appointing the mayor, mayor pro tem, as the chief executive officer to authorize a representative to act in all matters in connection with the Texas Water Development Board, flood protection grant project, and committing the City of Floresville to provide matching funds to secure and complete the TWDB protection grant. That's the resolution caption. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Jimenez, second by Cantu. Is there any citizens' comment regarding the grant application? There being no citizens' comment, all in favor say aye. Yes, sir.
These all different fees or all one fee?
Ms. Langford?
They're separate fees.
Yeah, the parks is one fee, and then the emergency is a different. Motion carried 4-0. On item H, consideration and action to approve resolution 2016.006 for the City of Floresville Master Parks Plan. And the resolution is in your packet, Council. And it reads, a resolution approving and adopting the Master Parks Plan for the City of Floresville. Whereas it is the desire of the City of Floresville City Council to improve and enhance the parks and recreational assets of the city. And whereas the City of Floresville City Council desires to provide a recreational, open space park system to meet the community needs into the next decade and beyond. Whereas the City of Floresville City Council wishes to establish the goals, objectives, and implementation measures for future components of the City of Floresville Parks and Recreation System. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Floresville that the City of Floresville City Council thereby approves and adopts the Master Parks Plan. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Ortiz, is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Second by Jimenez, all in favor say aye. Aye, I'm sorry, citizens input. Al? You're good? All right,
Thank you, Council.
thank you, sir. Okay, item J,
We have to vote on it.
we voted.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
There was the vote right before you said citizens comment.
Yeah. Yeah, keep up, sir.
Okay, to
Consideration and action to approve the resolution 2016-005 for body worn cameras.
You skipped I?
Aye.
Of
Okay,
course, you would skip me then.
I would skip you, Ms. Helen.
No.
Get behind.
Item I is consideration and action to approve resolution 2016-004 authorizing the award of professional service provider contracts for the 2016 Texas Community Development Block Grant Award. So now this is a different grant writer, correct?
Right, this is the CDBG grant that, under the mayorship of Diane Garza, the application was filled in, I believe, 2015. We received a letter dated, actually an email dated April 6th from Michelle Gordon, who is here. Gerke, I'm sorry, saying that the city of Floresville was approved for the 2016 CDBG grant award amount of $275,000 for sewer improvements. So we're very happy about that. And so the process asks that we choose an administrative professional service as well as an engineering professional service. It went out for bids. The bids were closed on May 9th. The city manager, myself, and Monica were present. We received 4 engineering firm bids, and the 4 were Stantec, which is Bury, which is now Stantec, And M&S Engineering got second place. Rakowitz Engineering, that's headquartered in Pleasanton, was third, and Southwest Engineers. So the contract will be awarded to Stantec. For administrative services, the only applicant or RQ or P we got was GrantWorks. So there's certain criteria that have to be met. As far as the scope of service, the administration scope of service is just administering the financial management part of the CDBG grant. And as far as the engineering scope of work, it's preparing or preliminary final design plans and specifications, preparation of the bid package. They conduct all field testing and inspections and other special services. So again, this is to augment what we're already doing with the USDA grant to provide sewer improvements for the city of Floresville. So with that said, I would like for you to consider approving the resolution 216004.
I'll make the motion to approve it for 2016-004, authorizing the award of professional service provided contract 2016 Texas Community Development Block Grant Award.
Motion by Jimenez, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Cantu, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to welcome the new council members. Congratulations. And Michelle, did you want to say a few words?
Just thank you. We look forward to working on the project with you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for staying here late.
Item J, consideration and action to approve resolution 2016-005 for body worn cameras. And Chief, I don't see the resolution in our packet here. Oh, here it is.
Yes.
Good evening, council members. As you can see, item J, agenda item J and K are similar. Of course, we're here to consider approving the resolution for these body worn cameras. If you have any questions and you want us to go into detail as far as the cost and the match grant and all that good stuff, I'll let Detective Rodriguez fill you in on that part. He is a part of the grant writing.
Have we adopted the use of the camera into our policy? Have we adopted policy for the camera?
No, that's, I believe that's the item, agenda item K. And you should have a copy of the
What
policy.
training are we gonna go through, Chief?
The training will consist of 8 hours. Once we complete the grant and stuff and receive the cameras, they will not be issued to the officers until this, the training takes place. And it'll take place here at the police department. It'll be an 8-hour training session. And of course, it'll cover everything that'll be in the policy procedure manual or our policy that we're going to adopt. If y'all vote in favor.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Does it cover the reserves too?
No, sir. It's all full-time officers only. Patrolmen. Yes, patrolmen.
And is there any exceptions?
As far as,
If anything happens out there?
no, we didn't cover them because of the reserve officers and they alternate. I guess it would have been a good idea to consider them, but we can always do that in the near future. If not, we can always, you know, those things are mobile, so we can always lend them to the officers if need be, if it gets to that point, you know, where we have to.
Who would amend that?
Nothing, I believe it'll just be an approval on my behalf, you know, whether or not that could be considered.
It doesn't come to council?
It can. If you guys would want to consider something like that for the reserves,
Yes. They're part of the force.
okay. We can definitely do that and work it into place. And these cameras are costly, so when we did the grant, we just considered all full-time since there was a lot of, you know.
And would there be a problem?
No, they shouldn't be.
Councilman, good evening.
Yes, sir.
The grant is very specific as to who can be worn, who can be equipped with these body-worn cameras. As long as we're participating in the grant, which is a 25% match, The only officers that are allowed to be equipped with them are officers that respond to calls for service and conduct traffic stops. Since these reserve officers don't do either or, per the grant, they're not covered. If we're gonna assign them or issue them cameras, then we're gonna have to pay for them from either the police department or I believe the city.
I couldn't understand that.
If we're gonna issue them body worn cameras under this grant, the grant doesn't cover them. It's only for officers responding to calls or conducting traffic stops. Since the reserves do neither or, they're not covered under the grant. They would have to receive cameras from either the department or the city.
Okay. How many cameras were you getting?
We're getting a total of 10. We have 10 officers that receive calls for service and conduct traffic stops.
Those are your full-time.
That's right.
And that's what I was under the impression of, because this grant is already in the process and on the works, we can't increase it anymore, but, you know, if y'all want to consider, allowing the reserve officer to carry, of course, we can get quotes and
Well,
move forward.
I mean, if they're not doing traffic stops and everywhere where they need them, there's no purpose for us issuing them. Or buying them, you know.
Chief, who has signed off on the policy? Is our city staff signed off on the policy?
We've looked at it, and the policy looks good to us. I believe Renee Pena has also looked at it.
The policy, Councilman, comes from TICO. TICO is a Texas Commission of Law Enforcement Education. They're the one who regulates as what our education, what the requirements are. So this is a state grant. State has recommended us to follow TICO's policy. So we've adopted the policy that TICO set forth to meet the requirements.
Council, any other discussion? If not, can we have a motion on the resolution first, 2016-005?
I make a motion to approve resolution 20016-005 for body worn cameras.
Motion by Cantu, is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Second by Jimenez, all in favor say aye. I'm sorry, citizens input first. Don't take a vote.
I have a question, these gentlemen here, like, for example, when we had the Balloon Fest, do they get called out to the work?
No,
Okay,
actually just full-time.
okay, and that's what I was just asking, because, you know,
In response to Mr. Robles' question, so foot patrol, people like working at the big festivals or Peanut or something, would they be wearing them or just,
All full-time officers with
Full-time.
this grant, like.
regardless if they're in a vehicle or not?
Right.
We had a motion by Cantu, second by Jimenez. Is there any other citizens' comments?
What is the cost per camera?
So what we did was we fielded 3 different cameras, and the most common ones. And since we couldn't conduct that study ourselves, I went out and researched different departments that did that. And what I found was that WatchGuard is the most, it works best for our department, because that's what we use for our in-car cameras, and that's the most cost-effective. Each camera out the door, as they say, is $907. For 10 cameras, it's $9,135, 75% match. The state's gonna pay, it's
7,000 something.
The state pays 2200.
22,000 something.
2,200.
no, that's how much we pay. We pay 25%.
Right.
We pay 22,
Right. And then
$283.
7,000.
the state's gonna pay $6,851.
A quarter of it.
Yes, sir.
I have one more question. How doable these things, and let's say a police officer get in some type of scuffle and then the camera falls out and doesn't break, do they have a replacement that quick, or you have to wait, or, I mean, how's that work?
Yeah, it comes with a year warranty. They do come in and fix it. And that's gonna also go in with the training. We're actually gonna have them come down and teach the officers how to operate them, and they can actually fix them.
I understand it's like a cell phone, right? It's basically something like that, and that's
A lot more durable than a cell phone.
They can actually be worn different ways. There's a clip-on, there's a magnetic device, and it's very, very durable. It even possibly tear your shirt off. The way it clips on.
That's why I'm just saying that, is there any percentage, maybe one extra or something like that, if something like that happens, you have to turn it in, because
We have 2 shifts, we can alternate cameras.
All right, thank you.
We're ready for vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. On item K, it's the policy that's in the handbook also. That the chief said that our district attorney has reviewed the policy, and also our city staff has reviewed the policy. So is there a motion to approve?
I will approve the CNA to approve City of Floresville Department, Police Department policy for mobile audio video recording system.
Motion by Cantu. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jimenez. Citizens' comments? No citizens' comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Right.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, executive session 4 was handled. Executive session 5 was handled. There being no further business, the meeting's adjourned at 9:46. Thank you.